Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're listening to 93.5 FM. Welcome back to my show. I am Shalina Litt, and as usual, I'll be presenting on the topic of raising children. Last week we looked at Halloween and whether or not we should be celebrating it. Obviously, I'd gone out and gone shopping and seen a lot of Muslim parents buying different stuff for their children, and there was the big debate as to, whether or not this was correct. This week, I wanted to discuss something which is very close to my heart, and that is the subject of special needs. I personally have a son who's in the middle of being diagnosed with special needs and have had much experience in running my own madrasahs, mashallah. And while doing so, I met other parents who had children with special needs, and as somebody who was running a madrasah, could not accommodate for these children who had special needs due to the fact that the staff did not have the training, and it was just something that wasn't on my mind at the time. But Qadar of Allah, everything happens for a reason. Recently I had the idea to start a madrasah called Special Madrasahs, and it is actually how I came to Unity FM. I was invited onto the show by Brother Nasir, and mashallah, he was really, good in terms of letting me speak about the madrasah. And what the idea was instead of us having a madrasah that the children would have to fit into, now anyone who has a child with special needs knows that it's difficult for the children to sit down for long periods of time, and also for them to, sit amongst the other children. So, basically I decided to start a madrasah where we would actually design it to meet the needs of the children. Hence, it would be smaller groups and shorter sessions. Now, I also recognised that in a very short space of time that the children who had special needs, majority of them, now I know that there's a vast array of special needs, and I'll define it in a minute in terms of special madrasas, but a lot of the children with something like autism, they actually had brilliant hifzing capabilities and were very soft-hearted children, so loving, so caring, and it was really just a pleasure to work with them. So this idea came about because I was speaking to a sister called Yasin, who has two beautiful children who also have autism. And Yasin was a parent that attended one of the madrasas that I was running. And, mashallah, we were discussing the fact that, it's a difficult area and, why not come up with this idea? And alhamdulillah, from there, it was a case of, okay, let's get the word out there. And what I found was a lot of people were like, great, it's a great idea, but how are you going to do it? They've seen, the difficulties of actually establishing it, etc. But I felt like, no, let me go ahead and do this and get the word out there. And with the help of Unity FM, I created, with the help of Allah, a great momentum, and the idea of raising the awareness on special needs in the community developed, and a lot of people started to come forward and actually, put their helping hand in to actually make this a reality. And I have to thank at this opportunity Al-Bir School, who have readily given their premises on the weekends to run the madrasah and support children who have got special needs, mashallah. So yes, Al-Bir School, we have to give thanks there. So basically we had a lot of people that came on board. Now I also met a lot of parents who had children maybe who were a little bit older, who I'm hoping to get one of the parents to call in a bit later, inshallah, so that we can speak to that parent about how it is having a child with special needs that is older, and maybe some of the difficulties that they faced in terms of getting support from the community and their children accessing education and employment. But bringing it back to the madrasa, I did a bit of research and found that not many madrasas were ready to accommodate to the needs of special needs children. So they would just put up their hands and say, we can't do it. Or they would take the children on, and with great difficulty, the children would end up leaving. I wanted to play a clip of one of the children who was planning to come to special madrasas, and one thing that I found when I'd had a brief interview with all of the prospective students to special madrasas was the fact that a lot of them felt that they'd been bullied in these madrasas, or a lot of people had taken the mick out of them. And it really broke my heart, because these children, you could see the innocence in their eyes. Some of them literally had tears in their eyes. And they were looking at me with so much hope, like, this is such a great idea. Thank you so much for doing this. And, I learned that not only would it be a madrasa that taught Arabic and Islamic studies, but we'd also look at friendship building, because these children needed that kind of relationship. So I'm going to play this short clip, have a listen to it, and, listen to how they feel, and we'll take it from there, inshallah. So, have a listen, and then we'll discuss it in a bit, inshallah. All right, assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, I'm Tahir from Special Madrasas. You're hoping to come to the madrasa, aren't you, inshallah?
Yeah.
Okay, and why are you happy about coming to this madrasa?
Because I think I won't get bullied.
Oh, so you got bullied at other madrasas?
Yes.
And what did they do when you were there? What made you think it was bullying?
When they were calling me horrible names.
Yeah. So, did that affect your learning?
Only a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good of you. So you were strong. You didn't really listen to what they said. No.
I just told the head teacher.
Yeah. Okay. And what did the head teacher do?
He punished them.
Right. Okay. That's good. So if you was to give a message to the boys that were at the madrasa, or the people, and you wanted them to change, what would you say?
Why don't we just be nice to everyone and make this madrasa look good?
Yeah.
For visitors.
Excellent. So that we can show how the people behave in this madrasa, so other people can change their madrasas to be like it too.
Yeah.
Okay. And any last thing you want to say about what you're looking forward to the most about the madrasa?
To come and learn Qaida.
MashaAllah. Okay. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, as I said, it was a really short clip that just was a great, projection of what is actually going on with these children. Now, this young boy that I met, he was so enthusiastic about learning Quran, but one thing that he felt was that, it was also about meeting other children that would, be able to relate to him. So that's why we was looking to do the friendship groups in addition to that. Okay, so there are not a lot of groups out there in the community when I done some research, but one group that did stand out was a group called CAT, and alhamdulillah, with me I have two of the volunteers from the group, and I just wanted to speak to them a little bit and introduce to you and get you familiar with this topic, and some of the issues that we face. So if you just bring the mics close to you.
Sorry.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on. Now, would you like to introduce yourself and maybe tell us about CAT and what they do?
My name's Abdul Samad, and this is...
My name's Salim.
Okay.
And basically, we're both volunteers at CATS, which stands for Children Action Team Support. We're a local organisation that's based in the Borsal Heath area, and what we basically do is we do play schemes. We run play schemes, and we do trips with children, especially those with special needs, and we take them out. Basically, that's what we do.
Okay. I met you briefly on Brother Nazir's show on Drive Time, and we discussed how we were affected as individuals, you know, when you meet children with special needs.
Yeah.
Would you like to briefly discuss, you know, your own personal journey meeting children with special needs, how your perspective changed?
All right. Well, to be honest with you, we'd actually had someone in my family who actually had extra needs, and I always grew up with him. I always knew him as a person. He was my cousin, and it was just always something that was there, and it wasn't something that was new to me.
Mm-hmm.
But with his needs specifically, he had trouble speaking and whatnot, and it was always there. It wasn't until I grew up and then I realised there's actually other kids there with various other needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was actually working at the bank at the time. I was working for a big high street bank.
Yeah.
And I was going into work every day, and I was thinking, you know, it's really nice to work in a bank and everything, but I'd really like to do something more. I felt like I was, wasn't getting enough for it. And a friend of mine actually suggested that I'd go volunteer for CATS. So literally I got on the phone, and they, done the various checks, etc., CRB checks and that, and I just turned up completely unaware of what was ahead, to be honest with you.
Okay, brilliant.
And it's been like a huge learning curve. It's been great just to get to know the kids and working with them and finding out all these different extra, different special needs, and so and then you start to see more of the personalities in the children. You see, what they can do, what they like doing, what they don't like doing.
Yeah.
And they are still kids at the end of the day. They may be in a wheelchair, or they may have certain learning difficulties or whatnot, but they are children, and they deserve the opportunity for play and to be out there with other kids.
Absolutely. And yourself, want to introduce yourself and briefly just say about your experiences. Has it changed since you met the children? Do you look differently now?
Yeah, definitely. I actually went to drop Abdul off at CATS whilst he was volunteering, and I just went in to give him a helping hand because they needed some stuff moving. And I actually got to know the people there, and they explained to me like the kind of stuff they'd done, and I thought it was absolutely excellent what they were doing for the children. But myself personally, I never had any sort of experience dealing with children in that kind of way. So my first experience with it was a bit like daunting for me, because you don't know what the child wants, and with some children who couldn't explain what they wanted, you basically had to kind of mind read. And to me it was a real daunting experience. I was like, what do I have to do?
It's very humbling, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you realise how lucky you are, and it makes you realise, how important, the little things in life are that we take for granted each day.
Yeah, I reflected once on this whole situation. Like I said, we were trying to set up a special needs madrasah, and meeting the children, I realised that the hadith, truly you do not believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself, is that some people are able to reach for the top shelf, some people are not. And if we look at it in them simple terms, it doesn't mean as a Muslim, that we neglect that person. It's still our duty to help the one that isn't able to reach the top shelf to do it. And that was the greatest way or simplest way that I could kind of look at it, and it's very humbling in itself. And I think as a community, we have a responsibility. We see so many madrasas, so many masjids, so many schools, so many dawah projects being, opened up. But what support is there really for special needs and the elderly, which is another area that I felt was very neglected? How much support have you had?
I mean, from the actual people, like the other workers at CATS, it's like we get a lot of support. We have to go, like, by law, we have to have certain things that, you know, we need to know, you know, first aid, etc. And we go on, like, autism awareness classes, for example, so, you know, we're more aware of what the disabilities and abilities that are out there. So aside from the actual formal training, when you're actually at work, some of the workers who are a bit more experienced, they will help out, and, you know, there'll be certain scenarios where, you know, you will face and you feel like you're out of your head, but there is someone always there to help you out. But I completely understand what you're saying with the learning resources. For example, if a child is dyslexic, for example, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but they find it difficult to read, say, on a white piece of paper with black writing. So you might need some yellow piece of paper, for example, just so the child can read it. Now, in our community, if there was a child and he was having difficulty reading the Quran and it just wasn't in the right colours, for example, then, you know, people might look down on that, you know, he doesn't know what he's doing and whatnot. The one thing that's beautiful about the Quran is that, you know, it is Arabic, and it's just the language is amazing, and a lot of people do pick it up very well. But I think something can be done, you know, it should be done to assist those people, and a bit more awareness of, you know, what the child needs and what they don't need, and different methods of learning it. But yeah, there's a whole world out there. So yeah,
there is. I mean, I'm not going to expose the sheikh that I met, and he was from America, and I was speaking to him about special madrasas, and he was like, "Sister, you know, I'm from America, and, you know, you're in England. What has this got to do with me?" I said, do you have a special madrasas in America? And he went, no, I don't actually. I says, well, then don't you think there's a problem? You know, I don't think this is just a local problem. I think this is an international thing. And, you know, my research shows that there was only, I think, one country called Dubai that had a special needs centre, and its centre is phenomenal. But, you know, we really have to, you know, extend ourselves and have the community open up themselves. If you put your headphones on, you can hear the caller. We've got a caller online. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, sister. How are you, Shalina?
Oh, alhamdulillah. I recognise that voice.
Yeah, it's Sister Nadia, sorry. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan for calling in, sister.
I've been listening to your shows, and mashallah, I'm very impressed with all the hard work that you're doing, and may Allah help you and, you know, people around you and help you to get this help, inshallah. Sorry.
I mean...
And I make dua that, you know, Allah helps us all to open our eyes and to see that there are people, you know, with special needs around, and we don't need to be, you know, children and people don't need to be excluded. Especially in our communities, because it's so sad that, you know, we don't sort of recognise and we don't acknowledge. And,
I mean, I met you briefly, and I have to say, when you invited me into your household, mashallah, you know, sister, I was very humbled by what I seen, and, you know, I hope you don't mind me saying too much, but mashallah, you have a son who's got special needs, autism, and he's now how old?
He's 22, and he hasn't been diagnosed with autism, but he was born premature, and he was born premature 11 weeks early.
Right, okay.
And he had a very rough start, and when he came home after 5 months, you know, it was like ongoing all the time in and out of hospitals and things. But alhamdulillah, you know, after a long struggle, mashallah, we had a lot of help. At first, he was just like in mainstream school, and they were the ones that helped us to recognise that he's got needs, special needs, and his special needs were speech difficulties, attention span, and you know, he wanted to be clingy. He was clingy all the time with everybody, and when he liked somebody, he just stuck by them all the time. And all through his school life, he had one-to-one, and alhamdulillah, you know, he's successful, mashallah, in a way that he's always going to madrasas, going to masjids, going to pray his salahs.
Yeah, I met him. I mean, what you know, what a vibrant young man, mashallah, you know. And, you know, I was amazed by the teamwork that was going on in your house, you know, the way that you and your husband were working together and your beautiful daughter, mashallah, you know, amazing. And, you know, and this is really what I want to highlight today, is how much goes into supporting young, you know, children with special needs, and really, you know, how it is for you as an adult. I mean, how has the community been with you in terms of supporting your son now that he's older? You know, he'd want to be accessing maybe employment, education, looking to get married. You know, how have these topics been, and how have the community been with supporting you?
MashaAllah, Abdul Kareem, he's very, very well liked. Everybody knows him, mashallah, and they're always ready there to help him. But I think we need the right help all the time. We need professional people out there, especially Muslim brothers. You know, and I'm asking now and I'm pleading, if there's any brothers out there, you know, not just for spare time, not just for volunteering, be really good professional brothers to go out and do something about this, and, you know, to help our young brothers learn Quran, be successful in their lives, you know, because lots of disabled people or the people with needs, they are very successful out there. And why don't we, you know, as Muslims, go out there and help out, not just Muslim brothers and sisters, but other people out there as well.
Yeah, I think the community has to come together. I mean, I think if you're a business, if you're a restaurant, you know, if you run a firm and you're prepared to take on and mentor, you know, young men or young women who have got special needs, then please contact us. What I'm doing is developing a website called specialmadrasahs.com, and on it, you know, I want to create a signposting service. If you know, are a parent, if you want to run parent support groups, we need this kind of thing. And, you know, if you are a group and, you know, you are doing something out there in the community and you want to call in and let us know, then please feel free to do so. It's 0121 772 8892. So yeah, Jazakallah khairan, sister, for calling in. Is there anything that you wanted the community to know?
Yes, I do, sorry. With these, you know, like young people with special needs and things, you will notice that they're not shy. And if they like somebody and shows them, some people show them interest, they will be, you know, sisters or brothers or whatever, professional, you know, people, they will cling to them and they will want that attention. But we need, as brothers and sisters, you know, parents, professional people, as they're the, we need to realize what they want and how can we help them. And mashallah, we went for Umrah, and my son, alhamdulillah, like I said, he's not shy. He will go out there and do things. And he actually met the sheikhs there, in the imams in the masjid. And he went out there, shook their hands, and he was escorting them and things like that, you know. And he's not shy at all. And like I said, he will, you know, but we just need the right people, the right way, the right approach. What can we do to help them?
Let's come together as a community, inshallah. And the reward is there for us as a community, you know. So, Jazakallah khairan, may Allah, you know, aid your family, you know, to give the best for Abdul Kareem, inshallah. And that you all have great health, inshallah. Ameen. Okay.
Just last request that I'm asking for dua for my husband, please. He's been very, very poorly. And I'm asking for everybody to make dua, please, inshallah.
Yes.
And if there's any brothers and sisters out there as well, you know, like there's so many depressed people, young people, old people, and, you know, out there. And there's lots of, you know, professionals, but non-Muslims are helping. And, you know, it makes me cry to think that, you know, I'm at home and I want to go out and help and I want to go and do things. But because of my husband's needs and things, I can't get out and about much. But there's so many people out there that need to go out, go and learn Quran, go and do things. But I'm not just saying young people, but elder people as well. People who've been neglected.
I'm glad you said that, because at the end of the day, sister, I've got a lot of respect for you. Yes. You're looking after your husband. You're looking after your son, mashallah. And, you know, as Muslims, if we do right by our neighbours, then really these things don't go on behind closed doors. And, this is why I say, may Allah, really give you some help and the strength to get through this, inshallah, and reward you with Jannah. Ameen.
Ameen.
I'd
like to give salam to the brothers as well, the ones who are volunteering for the cat thing as well. And mashallah, may Allah help them and reward them, and may Allah bring lots more people about together, inshallah, and so
Ameen. They're doing great things, mashallah. They are.
Take care, sister.
Yeah, keep in touch, please, inshallah.
Okay, take care.
All right, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm really glad the sister called in. When I met the sister, to see, how someone is dealing with, their child, and the husband and the wife are coming together, and even the daughter, someone who hasn't got the special needs, as we know. It was very humbling to see how many people came together. We're actually going into a break. I believe we've got a caller on the line. If you can just wait until after the break, inshallah. And hopefully we'll still have the brothers from CAT to further tell us. We really want to come together on the Special Madrasahs project. Let's work together as a community and bring together as many professionals. If you can volunteer, and even if you're not interested in the Madrasah project, but you want to help, the CAT project, alhamdulillah, come forward with that. There's so much we can do. These children need help with education, with their physical abilities. And for me, I think there needs to be more parent support groups. So, please stay tuned with us, and we'll get back to you after the break, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the show. Okay, with us, assalamu alaikum. Are you okay, sister? Your line's quite bad. Sorry.
Can you hear me? I'm actually on the motorway. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Did you want to comment on the subject, sister?
I did. My name is Mariam, and I'm a speech and language therapist. I work in Birmingham. And I just wanted to say that this idea of having special needs madrasas is long overdue. And I think we need to have more than one across the city. I see a lot of mothers bring their children to me where the children have autism, learning difficulties, dance, you name it, we see all of the conditions. And one of the things that always crops up is my child goes to the madrasa, but they're not getting anywhere. And it all goes back to the fact that obviously their cognitive skills are delayed, and the teaching strategies that are being used are not appropriate for such children. So just wanted to raise that, really, that it needs to be expanded across the city.
Absolutely. And I mean, the idea with the Special Madrasahs website is what I wanted to do is if there are any madrasas that want the training, then, I'm prepared to go out there and meet them, inshallah, and give them that training. And then we can start using the site as a signposting service, because I understand I've got interest from Leicester, from London, who also want to, bring this initiative on. And, sister, if you can, obviously give us your advice as well, because what I found is I did need a board of professionals to help me. We've got a sister, I think a little girl who's got global delay, for example. And, so if you can, give us a little bit of time maybe to look at the curriculum, then please, this is the kind of input we need, inshallah.
I'm more than happy to help with as much as I can, because from our professional background, we look very closely at what level of understanding has the child got, and then adapting the curriculum, for example, in the mainstream schools, for them to be able to accommodate the child's needs. So, for example, you may have a 7-year-old, but they may be functioning at the level of a 3-year-old.
Absolutely,
so being able to put the strategies and adapting the curriculum and the syllabus to meet that child's needs so they can access and learn. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. And there's also the aspects of using visual strategies. So having the written word in front of you sometimes can be very daunting, very sort of overwhelming. But if you've got symbols or pictures or cues to go with it, it can make life so much easier for these children.
Exactly, and that's what we wanted to do, is we wanted to implement this into the curriculum, create a model put that model onto this website so that it's readily available for any madrasa, you know, no charge. Just go and do it. You know, they deserve to get the same, you know, teaching and education that everyone else does, inshallah. So please leave your details, and I'll be in contact with you after the show, inshallah. And jazakallah khairan for taking the time out to give us a call.
And just one more thing, is the training package that you're putting together or have put together, does that involve training for parents as well? Because with the children who have autism, the parents are given training on like the early bird program, for example, which talks about what autism is, how to manage it in the home, strategies and things to use. But for some of the other children, like the Down syndrome and the global delays, there isn't any specific sort of training for parents. So they are very sort of baffled of how do we support our child, how do we help, how can we develop these different
the special
skills?
madrasas that in the madrasa, what I've done is I've defined it as a child that's not able to sit down for more than 20 minutes, for a long period of time, and it needs to be part of a small group. That's how I've defined it. So if a child falls into that category, then that's that. In terms of supporting the parents, no, I don't feel that I qualify to give out that advice. However, what I do want to do is set up parent support groups as a branch of any special madrasas, so that parents have the support of each other, inshallah. And you know, there are a lot of children who have got autism, and then, you know, the parents can be like, you know what, you know, I've gone down this route and this helped me. So, you know, that's pretty much the idea, inshallah. So, but please leave your details, you know, and come on board, as I say, get on board the special madrasa bus, inshallah. That's
I will do.
So, all right, jazakallah khairan, sister. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. You wanted to comment on the show, brother?
I mean, I think.
Oh, the line's really bad, brother. Okay. Okay, if the brother calls back, inshallah. The line was quite bad there. Pretty much this is the idea. We have the specialmadrasas.com website. The domain is there. It's not active yet because we need the funds for it, but inshallah, one step at a time. Now, you know, I've got a waiting list of children. You know, I had everything set up, but felt totally exhausted because it was a one-man band. And this is why I'm saying, you know what, this is my last attempt now to put the word out there. Alhamdulillah, Allah's put me in a really great position to speak to an abundance of people. Hopefully we should have Dr. Alam calling in on the show, inshallah, to let us know as parents what we can do if you've got a child with special needs and you are wondering, you know, what, you know, route you would take, inshallah. So, but yeah, going back to the volunteers from CAT. So, you know, how has it been for you in terms of working with the parents? Do you do a lot of parental involvement?
With the parents, there's not much interaction apart from when they're dropping the kids off to the actual play scheme or the trip. We've had a few trips where the parents have come along, and it is great to see like how the parents deal with it, because I always think like we might spend a couple of hours with the kids, but you know, the parents, they don't really get a day off. They're always with the children, and they probably best know how to communicate with their child more than anyone else. So yeah, it is good to see how they do it, and you know, it is, like you said, it is a lot of hard work. You know, it's not easy to learn the different, you know, especially if they've never had anything like that before.
And do the parents get to go on the outings with you?
There's been a couple where we've invited the parents to come along with us, and we've, you know, kind of like we've gone to like theme parks for the day, and then the parents have been with us, and yeah, they've been with us, and like it's good to see like how they deal with the children. For example, like, you know, sometimes you might need to repeat the same thing to a child a few times, and you might not be able to get through, and the parents will just say it the one time, and you know, the child knows exactly what to do and what not to do. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for the parents out there, because you know, they have the patience and they get through it every single day.
And how many children are you working with at the moment?
It varies, to be honest with you. It depends what we're actually doing. Like this Saturday, for example, we did a basketball class. There was a good few, like 20, 25 children. And we got the kids and we took them to indoor basketball, and we were teaching the kids how to play basketball, which is something, you know, any child can do, but someone with special needs probably hasn't had that opportunity before.
Mm-hmm. Okay, mashallah. So basically, yeah, if you want to call in on this show, it's 0121 772 8892 and comment on the topic of special needs. We're trying our best really to keep the intention up there to create a madrasa that is designed to meet the needs of special needs children, smaller groups, shorter sessions, and obviously looking at the tarbiyah of the children. Just found that, in the reality of bringing it together, a lot of parents are not getting the support that they need from the communities. A lot of masjids, etc., they don't really know how to deal with this. So if you're a masjid and you do want to, open up your doors to this area, then please get in touch with the station or email special madrasas. Madrasas is spelled MADRASAH at live.co.uk, and obviously tell us how you can get involved. If you want to get involved as a volunteer, if you want to offer some professional advice, if you want to get involved in the parent support groups, I've put out a word, and like I said, if you are a group that that work with special needs children, then please ring in and let us know about yourselves. It's a good opportunity to obviously let anyone out there know if you help children with autism, children with dyspraxia, etc. I know there is a group called Ansar. It's a project in Leicester for people with learning difficulties. Their website is www.ansar, that's ANSAR.org, and that's it. So yeah, if you have a project, then please let us know. Have CAT got a website?
Again, it is a community organisation, so we've got a website. We're just waiting for it to go live on the air. So at the moment, it's not actually live on the internet, but it's something they're looking to get into. Not just not yet.
Okay, and are you looking for volunteers at the moment?
Yeah, you know what? We could always do with volunteers, especially like if there's any people out there that have an interest in this, or they may be doing studying at college or university, and they'd want the live experience. They can get in touch with us.
What number is that? Do you know? You don't know the number?
Yeah, I haven't got it with me at the moment. I was just passing through for.
Really? Okay, then we'll come with the number by the end of the show, inshallah. So like I says, if you want to get involved with CAT or you want to get in on top of the special needs project, then please do so. So who we've got calling in to the show should be Dr. Alam, and she's going to tell us as a parent what route you should go down to if you have a child with special needs, or if you think maybe you have a child with special needs, what should you be looking out for, and then what do you do, and what happens once you get to the doctors. Is it a case of, it totally gets handed over to the GPs, or you're on your own? What kind of groups are there out there for special needs? To my understanding, you do go down through the route of going to your GP, and basically that's that. On the line, I should have with me Dr. Alam. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Alam, and
thank you very much.
Sorry, I know you're having problems getting through. Alhamdulillah, though, you made it.
No, that's fine. Can you hear me okay?
I know, yes, you joined me on my first show, didn't you? And I was all nervous with everything. Yes, alhamdulillah, I think we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Okay, so did you manage to listen to the show?
Yes, I did. It was very interesting. I listened to the beginning half. Got some great organisations that you were discussing, and I think that's really good. I also heard the speech and language therapist as well, which is also very good. So, yeah, very informative.
Okay, the reason that, I felt that we should get you onto the show at this point is if, there is a parent and they feel that they have a child who may have special needs, number one, what should they be looking out for? Mm-hmm. And number two, what is the process? Yeah,
sure. Learning or children with special needs or learning difficulties, sometimes it's quite a grey area and it's quite a difficult area. And often parents do struggle quite a lot. And I think I was listening to your show, and you're absolutely right when you say that children, they find a difficulty in schools, in madrasas, A lot of parents can't pick that up, and they find that they get a lot of complaints saying their children are naughty or they're not having their attention span isn't great, and then they struggle, they get frustrated, and then they come to us at the GP surgery. Some parents do and some parents don't.
Yeah.
And the parents that do come and see us at the GP surgery, they will often air those concerns, and they will say that, look, I'm concerned that my child has a lot of parents will say ADHD, which is called attention deficit hyperactive disorder, because they feel that the child is not listening or they're naughty and they keep getting told off at school. So what we usually do as a GP is we just usually do a mini screen or assessment. We take a history down, we note down any sort of unusual behaviours and things like that. And then often each diagnosis usually has to have a formal diagnosis. So we often then refer on to a specialist team which deals specifically either if your child's under the age of 16. And what that team will then do is they will call the parent or family in with the child, and then they'll do a formal assessment on them because there are varying assessment tools. And then they'll obviously, with the help of other history and the parents and schools and things like that, they'll obviously formally diagnose the child.
Yeah. Now, what I was thinking is, how early can this process begin?
That's a difficult question, but a lot of the time it's usually picked up at school, to be honest with you, because that's where social interaction usually begins at a vast level. A lot of children obviously can come before then if the parents are a bit more aware and they're picking up things, but a lot of the times it's usually when they start school or nursery, something like that. Eight is usually the age that I've seen majority of the diagnosis being made. I think that's probably the benchmark, but obviously it can happen at any age. Obviously with learning disability comes a whole spectrum of disorders. There can be other medical conditions and other medical problems, so it could even be picked up earlier. The other thing to note is also birth traumas and things like that. So obviously the children with cerebral
is that
palsy,
not linked to autism a lot? I mean, lack of oxygen. I'm no doctor, but is it not a common...
There's no direct link per se, and there's no studies to say that, but obviously when a child has gone through a traumatic birth, and obviously if anything is picked up by the parents or the GP, they will obviously refer that on as a sort of urgently to get that formally assessed, because like you said, once the child has got that diagnosis, it makes life a lot easier for the parents, a lot easier for us as a GP, because we see them regularly. They get put on a learning disability register at the GP surgery, and that helps us because if we were to give them medication, if we were to explain things to them, on their notes it would say that this child has learning disability, and then we'll be able to obviously adapt our consultation accordingly. And it helps the parents and it helps the child. And not only that, the child also feels that somebody's taking note and listening to them and treating them as an individual. And it's a condition just like any other condition, like diabetes, asthma, and it should be tailored to the child.
And it's a shame, really, because I think, from my own experience of working with the child and the parent, on the one hand, you see a child that is so brave, and they do experience a lot of bullying. A lot of the children that I spoke to that, are planning on starting the Madrasah, inshallah, have actually got a lot of, emotional trauma. And I thought, subhanAllah, I can't just look at Arabic and Islamic, and what they were upset about, they were like, these were Muslim children that were treating us like this. So this is why I think it's so important we raise the awareness, not only, in madrasas, but in the community, because other children need to know that although you see a child before you that looks fully able, he has differences. We've just got another caller on the line. I'm just going to see who that is. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sister.
Did you call in earlier?
I did. I got cut off.
Okay, sorry about that. The line was really bad.
I think it was because I was driving at the same time, but I'm stationary now.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, you wanted to comment on this topic?
Yes, I wanted to just briefly touch on the topic. As a professional, I am a teacher by profession.
Okay, mashallah.
And I think what you're doing is very commendable. But I think what we need to also bear in mind is the madrasas that are already existing aren't performing to any kind of remit as they stand in themselves. And my advice to yourself is even what you are doing is very important, but at the same time we need to probably try to educate the madrasas that are currently existing in the methodology of teaching the children, because the children are accustomed to a different way of taughting throughout the schools.
Yeah.
And when they come into the madrasas, the whole philosophy of education changes.
Yeah.
And not just in the sense of how it's being taught, but in the sense of its presentation.
Yeah, I think basically I touched last week on. I know you think it may be well out of context, but I looked at Halloween, and what I found is that it's true understanding of Islam versus your cultural understanding, and I feel a lot of parents, predominantly a lot of Pakistani parents, fall into this trap of they just fall into a system. Okay, my child's going to grow up, my child after school is going to go to madrasa. They don't pretty much care what they're learning. They're just going to a madrasa and I've heard this from teachers that, the parents just drop their children off and that's it. They're not really looking at what is being taught. And I think until you, as a parent, take an active role in wanting to understand who your child is going to become and what your child is, being influenced by and learning, then, unfortunately, you're going to be dealing with a lot of the consequences of not taking that active role in the early stages. So as much as I would love to go out there and give understanding and offer this education to the madrasas, what I feel is that if they want to come to me for that, then alhamdulillah. But in the meantime, that they have to help themselves.
What you're saying is very true. But as a teacher, the people who are actually coming into school on parents' evening, or the interaction of parents with the teachers, believe me, it's not that much different. If the schools weren't teaching anything to the children, the parents, this is not speaking for all of the parents, the majority wouldn't be any wiser.
Yeah. Okay.
And the cultural setting, because majority of the parents probably have gone through schooling but never understood the educational system.
Right.
And my feeling towards what you're trying to do is that maybe we need to just expand it a little bit and look at the wider picture and think, why is it that our children are being still taught like they would have been taught 80 years ago?
Brother, we're coming up to the end of the show, but I'd really appreciate it if you could leave your details with the studio, inshallah, so that I could contact you and maybe we could discuss this further, inshallah, because like I said, I can't do this on my own. I need other professionals to come in on this. I'm not, I'm ready to say that I'm wrong, and I'm ready to look at those that know better than me and accept that if it can work, inshallah. So please.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. And I think what you're doing is commendable. I'm just saddened that the majority of people don't really look at this as being the most important part of the child's life. Because if they're not being taught properly the religion, then reality is no matter if they become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever they become, if the Islamic education isn't based in them, then the bigger picture is quite oblique.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
Hopefully, it's very important. All we can do as Muslims and as professionals, is put out there what we can, what's in our capability. Obviously we're parents ourselves, we're looking after our children, but alhamdulillah, what we can put out there in the community is a sadaqah for us, alhamdulillah, So, but yes, please leave your details and, jazakallah khairan for calling in to the show, brother.
So, keep up the good work and may Allah reward you for what you do.
Ameen. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Alam?
Yes.
Okay, So, did you want to, because I've got a couple of minutes, did you want to leave a last word on this topic?
really all I wanted to say was I went to a conference recently, and we discussed children who are suffering with learning disability. And one of the speakers put up a picture of two children, and she asked us, one of the child was holding up a diploma, and she asked us, which child do you think is suffering from a condition called Asperger's syndrome, which is a spectrum disorder of learning disability.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously we all were stunned, and it was obviously the child suffering with Asperger's was holding up the certificate, the diploma, which just goes to show exactly what you were saying, and what the last caller was basically saying as well. With the right education, with the correct diagnosis, with parents' understanding and support, and with all these voluntary support groups you've got going on, a child with learning disability can get very far in life. Not just, like you said, in educational issues, but also in Islamic issues as well.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing with the Madrasah is absolutely fantastic. I think the fact that you recognise children with learning disabilities and you educate them on both sides is equally important. And like the caller said, it does help them, whichever walk of life they're in. So I think you're doing a great job, and so are the organisers.
Jazakallah khairan, and like I said, I have to thank Albir School and, Junaid. I think he's the video guy. We're going to hopefully do a DVD that we can distribute nationally to raise the awareness, inshallah.
Yeah.
But Jazakallah khairan for calling in, Dr. Alam, and I look forward to speaking to you soon, inshallah.
All right, then. Take care, and assalamu alaikum to all your callers.
Wa alaikum salam.
All right, assalamu alaikum, bye.
Alaikum salam. Okay, so if you want to get on board this project of, being part of this special madrasas, we're going to get this website up and running, then email special madrasas, madrasas spelled MADRAHSA, I think, SA. Okay, sorry, I'm literally got minutes left, at live.co.uk, or call into the studio 0121 772 8892, or you could hit me on Facebook, Shalina, SHALINA, and it's Lit, LITT, the surname. I'm full of loads of spellings now. So positively, let's coming to an end. As a community, I'm going to bring it back to the hadith. Truly, you do not believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. You do not know who has special needs. When it comes down to it and someone is sitting in front of you, you don't. But when you recognize that someone is not able, or you are able to help those that are not able, then please do so. If you feel what I've said has affected you and you want to get involved and become active somehow, go to your local masjid, mention this to them. That's all you have to do. At the time, I was one voice, I was one mother who wanted my son to access special needs, and so was Yasin. And I must, mention Yasin, mashallah, because I've seen a mother and she exhausts herself to make sure that she is an active role model. So may Allah aid us to all be active role models in our children's life. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the show.